All right. Go ahead and update Discord. Sorry guys, I had a little bit of technical difficulty. We are back up and live. Update Discord with a new link. All right. What is going on Facebook Live? What's going on YouTube Live? Got some blood in the streets, right? It's been ugly. It got ugly fast. And what I'm gonna do is try to explain what's going on, try to highlight what I'm seeing in the market, and highlight why we found support where we did, and the implications of finding support there. And historically, what's happened every time we get a spring, right, on BTC, this could be a spring. I'm going to highlight what the nature of a spring is. I'm also going to highlight some other scenarios, right, like bearish scenarios, more bearish targets, and like hyperwave scenario, what hyperwave is saying that, you know, we need to get back up over 6K in the very near future before by Sunday. Apparently, we need to get back. According to hyperwave theory, we need to get back above 6K by Sunday. Hey, Andreas, how's it going? You guys on Facebook, say hi. Sunday Hall's watching. Drop me a wave or something. All right. So, on the chart, I've got actually an inverse BTC, like a 1 minus. So we're looking at BTC upside down. What's going on, Jose? On Facebook, on YouTube, guys, how's the stream? Audio, video, everything's good. So I've been preaching that this triangle was not gonna break to the downside, and in case it did, I had a hedge in place. I actually posted on, hey, it was last Thursday, and I said, hey guys, hedge that 6,400 short because there was a bear flag, because this thing could break down. The guys that hedged and got stopped out, well, and hedged again, good job guys, right? You guys did good. The guys that hedged a little later, like 63, good for you. Even before then, right, when we were approaching that 100-day MA, I still have this chart, and I'd posted in my morning brief that, hey, we're approaching the 100-day MA, and that's exactly where bears have been really defending on the daily, right? So bear defense has been coming in right at the 100-day moving average on the daily chart, and I highlighted that. So anybody that had a bearish bias or wanted to trade with the bears, we highlighted this entry. And then Thursday, a little further down here, we highlighted another hedge short entry. So if you guys are a community and you capitalize on that short, congratulations. What's going on, Money Monkey, Andreas, Steven Strada? Thanks for letting me know how the stream quality is. So all that being said, there was plenty of hedging opportunities. I highlighted 2 of them. I actually started covering my shorts and I actually got stopped out of my last short right when price started pulling back. Now, in regards to BTC, where is support? Why are we finding support right here? Well, if you look at the inverse chart, I'm going to try to fit it all on one screen. It's a pretty big chart. We've got this previous trend line from the 2017 low, so January 11th low, and this was a March 17th low, right at like 899. So we bounced off a long-term support, right, which also coincides with some fib targets. If you were to fib this last bullish move up here from swing low to swing high and get an extension, or sorry, bearish move on the inverse chart, it's just easier to chart this move on an inverse chart. All right, so we do get this target of 5201 as the first extension, right? And there's carrier targets. There's that 40, there's a 4K target, there's a 38 target, there's a 2513 target. So if this thing keeps going to the downside, at some point, net short would be a smart thing to do. Is it going to continue to the downside? Well, that's speculative right now, right? Because in this video, I'm going to talk about these other scenarios. I'm just going to tuck this line in a little tighter. kind of negating some of the wicks and going off the bodies. And what we're seeing is we're finding support off a capitulation line, right? This line has served as capitulation at 2 points previously, and every time price pulled back to this line, we see a strong rally. Now keep in mind, this is an inverse chart, so this is the price low, this is a price high. So previously pulling back to this line has acted as a spring, right? Acted as a spring twice, and back here there was actually 2 back-to-back springs, so we could be seeing something of that manner in the next couple of days. And it's no secret that BTC had been trading in a constricted range for a very, very, very long time. You know, this is the longest we've ranged in recent history, and that's the last couple of months. Like from September on, we've just been in a trading range. And like according to like Wyckofian, it's Richard Wyckoff, right? Wyckofian thinking. Go ahead and share this quote by Wyckoff himself. The more compact the trading range is, the more likely a stock is under control by professionals, and the greater the possibility of a swift, explosive move upwards following a spring or a shakeout. Watch for them. If you're going to look at Wyckoff's spring formation, right, a spring is going to be that lowest low, breaking previous lows before an upwards rally. And how many times have we seen a spring on BTC? And this isn't like hopium for the masses. This is just highlighting the possibility of this could be a spring. So we see a spring here, a spring here. Anytime we've actually breached previous lows like we did last year, 1, 2, breached a previous low, 3, breached a previous low, breached a previous low, not quite a yearly low, right? We didn't breach a yearly low last year, but we breached previous lows several times. Breached a previous low, breached a previous low, this would be the correction. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, we had 5 springs last year. Right, 5 springs in the course of 1 year, for a big run up from last year's January low was $800, you know, 741, run up all the way to 20K. Now, if this is a spring, right, then that would be, if this is a spring, and the way we'd know if this was a spring is if actually price tucks back up above the 6,500 range or above the 6K. So if we get back into this trading range swiftly, nicely, this would have been the spring, right? Problem is when we have support turn into resistance, it's not a good case for the bulls. It's just not, because it could take years for it to become support again. And you know, just trying to put a trend line of, you know, where I think the next major, if price was to turn around, if this was a spring, where would the next leg up be? Well, it would be in the 6,700 range, back where we had these moving averages come in, back where we had these shorts come in, and really defend 6,700. And back to this trend line, I wanted to highlight one more thing about this line that we bounced out of that correlates with the lows of last year, the 2 lowest lows. Had BTC broken down any sooner, right, and to bounce off this line, it would have been a much worse scenario, right? Had it done so in July, right, it would have been 3,500 would have been support. Had it done so back here where there was a little bit of a fib confluence in August, it would have been 4K. So in terms of capitulation, we're really looking at like the best case scenario right now, because had it done so anytime earlier this year, 2,700 would have been a devastating blow, right? 4K, a knife all the way down to 4K would have been a devastating blow. So I really think in terms of market maker and in terms of what happened, like this leg down, stopping at 5,200, was essentially the best case scenario for bulls. There's a lot of mercy in this move, right? If it was any other way around, it could have been much worse if it was any sooner. And I'm saying this because of this trend line where we had capitulation happen twice. So is this capitulation? It's definitely, it looks like the start of it. According to Hyperwave, if you guys follow them, they're highlighting that if price doesn't close above 66K by Sunday, then BTC is going to be in real trouble, right? And that's one scenario. Am I a fan of that scenario? I'm not, but I like what we're seeing here. This is a fib target, right? This could be a false break. This could be a spring. This could be a shakeout, or this could be the beginning of the end quote. But the likelihood of that scenario developing is not. It's not something that I'm entertaining very seriously, but it's something that I'm prepared for. Currently, I do hold hedges, right? So I'm long and I'm short at the same time. I'm waiting for the volatility to come back. And one thing that's exciting is for the first time we actually see volatility back in the market. And that's one thing BTC is known for, is being volatile. I wanted to highlight some other scenarios. I've got them in my notes for the subscribers. I'm just gonna go straight to my notes. So I covered the Wyckoff scenario, I covered the hyperwave scenario, I covered the trend line scenario. So that's pretty much what I wanted to highlight. I'm getting some questions now. We're on January 12th, 2015. Did you notice we breached the weekly trend line that has held since November 2011? The weekly trend line since November 2011. What exchange are you looking at, Georgia? I have to go with the Bitstamp chart for now. Let's go to the weekly. So if you want to talk in terms of the weekly chart, until we get a weekly close, we don't really have a weekly chart. Why do I say that? Because of the February move, right? And I've been comparing this price action very much to what we saw in February, right? So February price bounced all the way off 5,800 and within 1 week pulled back up to 8K. So in the following week, the opening was 81.40. So that being said, it's too soon to judge a weekly chart, right? It just is. And I believe this is the line that Georgia is referring to. $2011, right? So if we breached it, we're on friction with it. That's on a log chart. We're gonna keep it on a log chart. So we're having friction with it. In terms of moving averages on there, I think I'm running, what am I running here? At 50 over 100. Well, moving averages haven't closed down on the weekly for that death cross like they had back here. So this looked a lot worse than where we are right now. And price is just now actually running in a friction with a 100-day moving average in terms of the weekly chart. January 12, 2015. I'm getting these questions from YouTube for you guys on Facebook that are thinking. So January 12, 2015, right. So I mean, even look at the weekly there. There's still that big capitulation wick. I think that's what you're referring to. What about January 12, 2015 daily? Sorry, I'm charting on an ultra wide and I can't quite fit all that resolution onto the video, so bear with me. I gotta modify it. So on the daily we're below that line, but we did find support, right? If you go to the 240 and the fib targets of that triangle of the last swift move in that triangle, let's go 240. So these would be the lows I was referring to earlier. Right, so I gotta try to clean this up a bit. We're finding support off the capitulation line from last year. And back to what I was saying, if this was a spring, well, we've seen before every rally, we've seen a spring come in. We've seen us break previous lows. 2017 started with a rally, right, coming back to December prices, and then a continuation. Now we're back. You know, it's been a year. It's been a hard year for crypto. It has. We went through some relief rallies. You guys that trade futures, you're probably the only profitable ones if you traded properly. But as we see, every big upwards move started with a big down move. Is that hopium? Well, let's look at the fundamental story, right? We got backed coming in soon, next month. I think December 12th or so is going to be the backed release. So there's the case can be made for either bull or bear. What I'm doing personally is I'm hedged. I'm hedged both ways. I'm going to capitalize on the volatility. I did have before the market cap started the big drop, right? I was expecting support right around the 97 billion, so right around here, and or 99. And right when we started breaking through that, I have put out an alert. I said, hey guys, put your stops on our profitable altcoin signals in the profits at the closest target below price action. And because if BTC takes a dip, market cap takes a dip, we want to get stopped out at a high to be able to buy back in at a low. And that happened on a few tokens. And if you look at alts in general, they're somewhat upholding quite a bit of BTC value. In terms of BTC value, alts are doing good. I'm going to go over a few of them. Start with Wax. Alright, so I've been waiting for Wax to like pull back so I can buy it, and right in the middle of the noise, I announced our VIPs, hey, I'm picking up a bag of Wax, and that made some gains. Lumens is actually pulled back up. I think it was back at the high before the dip. So in terms of BTC value, alts are still in the gains, right? So they're still growing stronger. And if you're going to compare this to the January rally, right, which in reality was an exit pump for alts, are we seeing that? We could be. It was too soon to say it's an exit pump. It would be an exit pump if BTC was to pull back up and alts rally even harder. And that might be a time to profit take some alts into BTC and possibly go into fiat for a bit. But if you know, that's all contingent on what happens next. I'm gonna cover some altcoins for you guys that want me to. Go ahead and hit me with a couple of alts. No altcoin requests. I'm waiting for altcoin requests. You guys got altcoin requests for me, I will cover them. If not, I'm probably just gonna end this on this note. I'm gonna go back to the BTC chart, highlighting where support could be. I'm using the inverse BTC chart just because it's a little easier to draw fib extensions. The way I'm drawing these fibs, you guys are curious, I'm taking these moves from swing low to swing high and putting up an extension. Because realistically, shorting this would have been a swing high, right? But this would be the previous move, and the extension from this swing high to this swing low would be the 1.618, and that's where support came in, right at that 5200 mark, right? So based on this move, right, our next support is going to be at 38.62, which is really scary. That's why you want to be hedged at this moment, right? You don't want to be overexposed. Based on the last extension of the move before then, we could see support at 4047. Now, had the triangle broken down back here for a knife down, right, the fib level along with the trend line, they agree with each other that there should be support here. And this is why I'm glad that this capitulation move, or this spring, or whatever this is, this shakeout or this bleed off, happened now, because support was so much closer than where it could have been at any time in previously. The hash war, the current state of the market. I don't give into those guys. I follow charts, right? I don't know you guys how long you guys have followed me. I've always thought Bcash should be valued at 0. I don't see a use for Bcash. I don't see a need for Bcash. Bitcoin's on Lightning Network. It's cost. It's cheap. It's cheap. It's faster than it has been, and it's efficient. They can't even bog down the network like they did last year, right? With BTC. I think, in terms of the current market conditions, is it creating FUD? Yes. But, I mean, those guys aren't stupid. If they were to FUD it out at any time, Craig Wright, right? Like, if he was going to do this at any time to make it look like he's impacting the market, well, he picked the right freaking time. Does he know about the timing? I don't know. But if anything, they picked the right time to do this. Who do I think is gonna win? I'm gonna stay out of this. I do think my opinion on Bcash has been the same. We've only traded Bcash on leverage to play the short squeezes, right? And for you guys that are VIPs, we longed Bcash for a massive gain. Some of you guys shorted it for even more gains and longed it again and shorted again. So Bcash is profitable to trade. Is it something that's in my portfolio? Absolutely not, and won't be until further notice. All right. Good morning, Laura. If you guys are just now tuning in, I covered BTC. This is a nervous BTC chart, right? It's just easier to put up fib targets, find support, and so because of the nature of the move, you can be able to rewind and get some answers question that I've already answered. All right, so I'm gonna move into. I was asked to cover ETH, so I'm gonna go ahead and cover ETH USD. Let's go into ETH BTC before I go into ETH USD. All right, so what's going on with ETH BTC, right? In terms of BTC value, looks like ETH is upholding. It's above the previous range, right? Which is interesting. Does that mean it's getting stronger than BTC? Does that mean it's not? It's definitely showing force against BTC. So when I look at this, I see that ETH BTC is stronger than is looking stronger than it did last month, right? From 10.10 to 11.4 for now. Let's go into ETH USD. I'm gonna put it on inverse. I had some targets on here as well. and take the Kraken chart. And ideally, right, like what's going on with ETH? It's still up. It's still, is that even 499? That's odd. All right, let's go to the daily. So ETH hasn't quite cracked the previous low, right? It didn't close below. It actually did close below the previous close, but it's upholding value a little more. Like BTC actually cracked the lower low and is further down below it, and this is why we're seeing ETH BTC act stronger than it did a month ago and still upholding above that range. Is this over for ETH? I don't like. It's too soon to make that call, right? For you guys that are VIPs, you asked for some bull targets and bear targets for ETH, and I had both of them listed. I am seeing what looks like tweezer bottoms and a dragonfly doji on the daily on ETH USD. Right, so these are going to be tweezer bottoms. If you guys can see those two wicks, and this is a dragonfly doji. So the likelihood of it turning around is semi-likely. I'm not seeing the volume that I like to see at the bottom. Typically, I like seeing a reflexive volume on these bottom candles where you guys can see back here. This would be a decisive where bulls have had enough and they're like, you know what, we're gonna come in, we're gonna buy this, we're gonna buy ETH back up, right? And they do so on decisive volume that literally overtakes more buying volume than any previous selling candle in the immediate term, right? And we're not seeing that happen just yet. We're not on the daily, not on ETH. So I'm still hesitant on ETH. Right, and historically, ETH and BTC, they don't rally at the same time. They don't, and that's why we see ETH BTC fluctuate in value. All right, going over MFT. Right, MFT took a dive. If you guys are in or VIPs, I did post before BTC even took the dive. I said, hey guys, tighten your stops and a profit, because you do want to get stopped out if market cap dips. If you do want to get stopped out of your alts for a buyback, if you got stopped out of MFT, that's good, right? Our previous targets on this token, I think we had some in the 150 range, and you should have been stopped out way back here, up here, before the dip. Now let's add an RSI, look for divergences and such. It hit oversold, but it didn't bounce back like some other tokens did, right? So I'm going to cover some tokens that did really good. One of them that I actually wrote about before any of this happened was Factum. I wrote about Factum when NEM started making moves, and Factum had done nothing when that happened. When CoinCheck reopened for trading, I highlighted 3 tokens, and I actually signaled NEM before CoinCheck reopened for trading. We didn't know CoinCheck was going to reopen. We just saw some things on the NEM chart that looked really interesting. And the next day, NEM started this rally. We look at CoinCheck, right? There was 3 tokens that piqued interest: Lisk, Factum, and NEM. We were already in NEM. So I wrote about Lisk and Factum, and Factum started taking off. So we're seeing tokens that are making these gains that have momentum. This looks like a little bit of a rising wedge, so it's likely to pull back to 50%. We're just going to go from swing low to swing high. Alright, so we could see Factum come back down to that 81. Go ahead and just scoot this over a bit. Whoa. All right, so we're gonna see Factum likely pull back to that 82.44. Back to tokens that upheld momentum. I covered Lumen at the start, right? Even ZRX pulled back up after a steep sell-off. We had some people ask, hey, what's going on with ZRX? Is it a good time to come back in? Is it going to dip lower? Well, it turned around and did this bull flag, and now it's starting to start another bull flag. So a token like MFT isn't showing me enough confidence. This is why I'm covering these even though you didn't ask for them. A token like MFT isn't showing me much confidence right now as much as something like ZRX is with these bull flags, 2 stack bull flags, and turning around after retracement. Like, this might be the time to get in ZRX. Same thing. Lumen, Mana started pulling back up as well. Mana had been an aggressive uptrend, right? And we had signaled this token at the break of the previous downtrend for like a hold. It's hard to devalue a token that's tied to digital real estate essentially. And it started to kind of pull back down, but it did wick down, pull back up. And this isn't quite a double top. But yeah, ideally I wouldn't be holding MFT right now. The death cross on the 3-day, right? I mean, let's go back to BTC chart. I mean, this is pure moving averages that I have on my chart, right? So I look at death crosses. I absolutely do. I absolutely do. Do I call them death crosses? I don't exactly call them death crosses, right? So there is a moving average crossover over here. And does that signify that we're going to be forever indefinitely bearish? Is it a true death cross? Well, look at the 3-day back here, right? Where were 3-day moving averages up here, Georgia? Nowhere. Okay. So the relevance of a 3-day moving average to where we are today is, and a moving average crossover, does it hold validity? It does. But where were these moving averages early in the bear market, early in, during this correction? They were nowhere to be seen. Okay. Could this have triggered this sell-off? Very much possibly yes. But if you look at the weekly, right, we don't see a death cross yet. We don't see any death cross. If you look at the daily, right, I mean, we had a death cross on the daily back on 1031. We've had a lot of death crosses. That's expected when we were in a downtrend. And once again, back to my inverse BTC chart, right? We're lucky that this happened now and not a month ago or 2 months ago, because we would have hit 4K. All right, RVN, Poe, going over Raven. Let's go to 240. All right, so Raven's looking like it's starting to range, right? And it's nice to see something start consolidating into a range, right? We're gonna go ahead and identify the range by 3 touches. All right, and if we just look at where this range is, it's right where the previous range was. So currently Raven is retesting a previous breakout formation, right? This is after we signaled. I actually signaled Raven up here in like the 200 to 300 range for this entire swing up. We made 200% on this trade. So back looking at this chart, what's going on with Raven? Is it likely to pull back up for another rally? Well, let's put a fib on here and see what's going on. And I wouldn't be interested in longing Raven until we get back to the bottom over here, right? This would be my lowest risk long entry. My breakout long entry would be a break of the 522, 523 resistance. Why? Because then it would essentially be breaking out of a range. Or if you get a breakout and we come back and get a throwback, that would be another nice entry. But I wouldn't get in the middle of a range. I'd want to see what happens at the top of the range or at the bottom of the range. Back to drawing a fib. If you're going to fib this whole big, massive move, Raven is trading below the 61.8. So the likelihood of it moving back up, we want to see the token gain strength and momentum and get back over the 521. Every single time we've traded Raven or tried to trade Raven after this, we had a stop loss. So if you're a subscriber and you're still holding Raven, you didn't set a stop. And not setting a stop in any market is the most dangerous of practices, right? Especially when there's a lot of uncertainty. $50 over 200 EMA cross. In the future, that has never happened. So, I mean, I've got a bunch of EMAs right here. I've got too many. I've got a 50, I got a 75. These are increments of 25 all the way to the 200, right? So if you're asking about this, I mean, that's on my chart, right? And this isn't a new layout. I've had this layout for quite some time. And I actually use this layout on a 720. Once again, the magnitude of this is unknown, right? Because I highlighted the bull scenario, the bear scenario, and the bear targets. So does it confirm one way or another the fact that it happened? Not necessarily, right? Once again, if we're gonna see a rally take place, we want to see something that hasn't been done previously. It's got to look really scary. I mean, from 11 to 35, this is probably just a Coinbase thing, right? But the market has to look like it is done rallying. There's got to be a spring back to the more compact the trading range is, the more likely the stock's under control by professionals. And what have we seen lately in BTC? The fact that it has been in a really strong, tight range. And going back to the quote, and greater possibility of a swift explosive move upwards following a spring or a shakeout. Back to Wyckoff schematics, the spring is going to be a break below all previous lows. So if you're looking at price action, if you're looking at moving averages, it's going to do this, right? Like a spring, if this was a spring after a constricted trading range, then we saw it. It's just going to be a continuation of the bear market. It is too soon to tell. Is this moving average cross on a 3-day chart going to be that significant to keep us in a bear market? Well, when did this happen previously on a daily, right? So the only way you can backtest moving averages is what they've done on previous time frames. And we saw this death cross happen back at 9K in March, right? In late March, and the 50-day MA had been below the 200 for a long time since. Its significance and impact on a 3-day, it's too soon to make judgment. Anyways, you guys have any other questions? Covered RBN, PO, I didn't cover PO, POE. So I'm gonna go swing low to swing high of the actual entire move. 61.8 retracement. What do we know about that? Right, 61.8 retracement is probably the safest entry as far as a buyback goes, with a stop at the 78.6. In terms of trading range, well, just like what I was talking about on RVN, right? A throwback to the range with a 61.8. Like this looks safe. Buying PO here would have been FOMO. Getting in a PO here is likely to be the smarter option. Right? If we were to define the range, there's actually an inverse head and shoulders over here, and price is just now at the throwback. Momentum's not quite in yet. You said there's some bullish divergence. I don't see it on the daily. I think it's too soon. I do see it on the 4 hour, right? But we do have any bearish divergence here. We do have some bearish div. So I'd wait for another set of divergences. Well, fam, thank you all for tuning in. If you're looking for BTC bull and bear targets, start the video over, rewind. If you're looking to get in our Discord community, we'll drop you a link in the video description. Just say drop a link. And yeah, hopefully this is a spring, all right? Little hopium. Hopefully this is the spring. Hopefully this is a shakeout before a violent leg up. Because historically we haven't seen any kind of upwards momentum happen without a violent move down. Every big up move had been following a spring or a breakout to the downside, and we're seeing support at the 2017 lows, right? Bearish targets are scary, right? We're looking at a 44K, at a 38, 26 during the beginning of the video. Yep, thanks for tuning in. On a positive note, on Tensor chart, I'm actually starting to see buy walls come in for the first time, right? We haven't seen buy walls on Tensor. I'll go ahead and drop that over here. That's a more positive note. We hadn't seen any kind of any pre-ran orders in a while in this whole trading range and this whole dip. Come on, right? So we hadn't seen any walls come in at all. So price volume had been simply organic. Now we're starting to see the support come in at 59, at 55, and 52, right? So we're starting to see more confidence come in, as in people starting to put out their BTC to get ahead or try to catch a certain price. Thank you, Intro to Cryptos. I'll share a picture of my trading room on our Discord. It's been in the works, like 90% complete. Anyways, fam, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the update. If you have any questions, ask them on Discord. You know where to reach me. And yeah, best of luck to everyone. The highlight is stay hedged, right? Don't be the gambler, be the casino. Trade both ways. If you don't know how to do that, we'll show you how to do it. Have a great weekend, everyone.